A woman offered to buy me a shot at the bar last night. When was the last time you felt like the prettiest girl in the room? Just FYI, I am in a relationship, which I said to her, and she still gave me the shot, and damn it, I felt flattered. This one time my mom had friends over and one of her friends called me handsome. I walked past two gentlemen at the bar comparing beards. When one of them piped up, "Not like it matters with this handsome motherfucker walking around," and he points to my cleanly shaven face. They were pretty funny. Girl I've been friends with for like 10 years. We have always had a little bit of sexual tension between the two of us, but nothing ever happened because we both were never single at the same time until now. We had a first date, it went good at the end. She jokingly said, "If I pay for the second date, you gonna let me hit?" And just that brazen and desire from someone who is super shy blew me away. I'm just happy again, which I have been pretty depressed for the last few months, so I'm hoping things go well. One time this chick got so drunk she looked in my direction. A girl gave me 3 pints one night. What she didn't tell me was those pints had been given to her by a random guy at the bar. I got spiked, don't remember how I got home, and spent the next 3 days in an absolute state. I got proxy spiked. That was a fun night. Once my wife and I were driving around and she got a call from a friend. She'd been out drinking and was rather tipsy and needed a ride home. We picked her up and it was about a 20-minute drive to her place. After a few minutes she looked at me, got a big smile, then looked embarrassed, said, "I like your beard," and then looked at her lap still embarrassed. She then repeated this every 2 to 3 minutes for the entire drive to her place. When we got there and she got in her place, my wife said, "I don't know if you noticed, but you're kind of her type." Yay, if you reverse this, I'd be mad as hell if a drunken mate of mine started complimenting my girlfriend's facial hair. Right? That's my beard. Pardon my abbreviation, by 20 meters I meant 20 minutes. I'm a stinky American and I don't even think about meters unless someone says meat eaters too fast. Only compliment I ever get is, "Cool shirt, better than nothing I guess." This last Friday a girl I hadn't seen since high school asked me for my number and then took me on a date the next day. That was a unique experience. I had a gay guy whistle at me when I bent over once. I'm straight and married, but it felt really nice to be noticed. Went to a restaurant for lunch, got 3 compliments, 2 from women about my beard at restaurant. While walking back to my car, one of the women that complimented me at the restaurant was in the passenger seat of a car driving by and she hung her head out the window and screamed another compliment at me. Then this woman that was eating outside at another restaurant called me over and complimented me as well. "Show me that beard. It's a bit messy right now. I'll probably rebraid it tomorrow morning and can take a pic then." Edit. Because thread is locked, I can't make a new post, so here's a link to braided and unbraided beard link. We hands clapping want hands clapping that hands clapping beard hands clapping. When I laid down some quiet dad-law to my kids while in the presence of a bunch of mothers. You can practically hear the eggs dropping. It's not quiet dad-law, but dad-law that's said quietly as opposed to loud. You see it when kids are acting up. The dad gets low and talks quietly about how they will behave to avoid consequences. It's like when instead of counting down from 5, parents would just hold up 5 fingers and drop them without saying anything. Only works if the kids and parents are disciplined though. If you mean examples, a big one for me is giving people space, not being a little asshole, and shouting needlessly. A year ago, I was the only non-white person in a bar at a large-ish party in Zagreb. This incredibly hot woman came over to me, chatted me up when she saw I was feeling a little out of place, got me 2 drinks and kept me company for an hour. She was smart, beautiful and so good to talk to. I still pinch myself recalling when it happened. One time a woman who was at the bar with her boyfriend bought me a shot. I felt both flattered and confused. They wanted a 3-way 100%. It was while the boyfriend was in the bathroom though, so he didn't know about it. Jesus Christ. No, I don't think it was him. A girl asked me out to coffee today. Pretty damn good. I was at work and a woman I work with, about in her 60s, was having a rough day. She was trying to work on something and every manager she talked to gave her different, conflicting guidelines to follow, all complete different from the way she'd always done things, and she did things perfectly, I might add. She was very frustrated and working on something and I walked up, not knowing about any of the other bullshit, and asked, "Oh, is this how we're doing this now?" She explodes at me, "I don't know. Is this how we do things? Everyone is telling me something different." I know she's not angry at me, so I say, I don't know. This isn't my rodeo, I'm just here to distract the bulls." The anger leaves her face as she's processing my joke, then she lets out one of the heaviest and hardest gut laughs I've ever heard. When she's done laughing she shoots me a look that both says, "Thank you for making me laugh," and, "You're very sweet and cute." I felt great. I don't know about you other guys, being a guy of rather average looks myself, nothing makes me feel as attractive as making the women around me laugh. P.S. to anyone who didn't get the reference. The person at a rodeo whose job it is to distract the bulls is called a rodeo clown, and this is what they look like. She was an old-fashioned farm wife and got the reference immediately. I was out at a club for a mate's birthday, and I was dancing with my friends, getting on famously with a girl, bought her a drink and we went for a cigarette. She leaned over and said to me, "Obviously I would take you home, but I have a boyfriend." I was taken aback. I do not consider myself attractive and it really made my night. Needless to say I went home alone and fell asleep with one shoe on. I was the prettiest man that night. I was at the club with an ex about 8 years ago. We got there early and there was only a handful of people there. Maybe 20 people in a club that holds 500. My and the GF were just having our first drink and talking as we waited for friends to show up. Some random girl asked if she could interrupt our conversation. We looked at each other and said, "Yeah, what's up?" She told me I had the most gorgeous smile she's ever seen, as she was staring into my eyes. Then she walked away. I probably had a stupidly large grin on the rest of the night. Almost couldn't fit my head out the door when we were leaving. Maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I'm not much a bar scene guy, but I was out with either a roommate and her friends and a coworker and her friends. Anyways, this objectively handsome carved from marble by Apollo-looking guy walks up and, for whatever reason, seems to want to talk to me. Anyways, after a bit he gets this look on his face and walks off. Wasn't sure what was going on until my friend's friend says, "Fucking figures." Hottest guy in the bar walks up and he wants to fuck white guy. I felt like $1,000,000, and I'm straight. Woke up after clubbing with some girl texting me to hook up. I had thought I had drunkenly asked for her number, but it turns out she had asked for mine. That was a boost for sure. Slite. Oh, this happened to me. My big sister, 22F, Sally, graduated and we're really good friends, so she invited me, 21M, to her night out with all her friends from university. She texted her group chat to let them know I said I was coming, to which someone I'd only met once prior at Sally's 21st replies with something along the lines of, "Sally's handsome brother, smilling face, smiling face." The fact it was so blatantly stated in the group chat was such a confidence boost. I'm an average height fat guy. I don't have looks going for me, though I do have nice hair, but I have gotten numerous comments on my deep voice. One time I was waiting in line to order food, and when I got to the register, I said, "Hi, how are you?" to the cashier. She paused perplexed for a short moment and then said, "Sorry. I was not expecting for you to have such a deep voice like that." Actually, now that I think back, I'm not sure if that was a compliment or not. But it has happened other times where people say I should be on the radio with my voice. I definitely have the face for it. One of the hot girls in high school said that to me, so that was nice. I've gotten compliments on my voice from mainly waiters, waitresses, cashiers. Also, I can tell you right now that button-up shirts with little repeating patterns are in. People have said they like the shirts I have that are like that. 3 times this has happened to me. I wanna bet the girl was into me. The girl was not into me, but I was the only guy in the bar at noon, day drinking. Christmas party a couple years ago. My group of friends. We're still going strong. Most of us are now almost graduating college, but this was back in high school. We're playing Paranoia. Explanation is later, and my name got called. I called the coin flip right and the question was, who would you most likely go on a date with? And most of the girls just went, "Yup, I agree." Felt really good about myself and I think about it from time to time. Paranoia is when you all sit in a circle. One person at a time asks a question to person next to them quietly so nobody else can hear. The person then answers with a name of someone in the game are loud, and the person whose name was called gets to call heads or tails. Flip a coin and if you get it right, the question is revealed. Warning. The game always devolved into terrible questions like most likely to cheat or die alone, but it can also be filled with a lot of fun stuff. Just make sure you either A. don't know the group at all or B. know them well enough so nobody takes things personally. My first day in prison. My mom calls me handsome, does that count? My GF told me that she was talking with her friends about all of their husbands, BFs, and they all said how they were impressed with how good my hair looks and how well I dress and are a tiny bit jealous because most of their husbands don't even try to look good or even shower daily. I tend to be pretty down on myself, but being told that a lot of these women see me as a good example of attractive, well put together made me feel very good. The last girl who picked me up at a bar ended up fucking the shit out of me. I was 21. 30+ years later and I could still describe every pore of her skin. Our class had just broken out into pairs to work on patient cases. The instructor walked around seeing if any of the groups needed direction in how to approach the case. I motioned for the instructor's assistance, since my Latina with gorgeous eyebrows, relevant, and I weren't sure how to even begin the case. Mid-asking questions to the instructor, mid-30s female who recently graduated from the program, she stops me and says, "Your eyebrows are fantastic. Where do you get them done at?" Of course I am thinking she meant to say that to my partner, but the entire time I was asking questions, my instructor and I made eye contact. My instructor then turned to my partner, whose eyebrows looked sulfur monoxide much better than mine, and said, "Well, yours look good too." Totally caught both of us off guard and gave us a good laugh. That wasn't even the best part of the day. After class, I went straight to work, still feeling super self-confident from the compliment. Early on in my shift, one of the first patients I visited with stopped me mid-sentence with, "Your eyebrows are flawless. I wish I could get my husband to go get his done." Needless to say, I've been going on a schedule ever since. I owe myself for talking me into the first appointment. Was buying cheese in a shop in Madrid. I noticed someone coming up to my left as I was squinting through the glass at the different types. I stepped backwards to get out of the way, and gave one of those expressionless smiles that you give to a stranger. It's a little man, probably about 30, he smiles in a very flirtatious way and flutters his eyelashes at me. We never exchanged any words, but it was very obvious, with some gay people you can just tell. Now Madrid is a very gay-friendly city, and while I'm not a cretin, I'm certainly not attractive, I don't think. So it was quite the surprise, and if I'm honest, even though I'm not gay, a bit of an ego boost. Once when I was 9, my sister's friend told me I look prettier than my brother. I was in a sushi joint with a friend celebrating my birthday and I must have mentioned it in passing. I ordered some sake and when the bill came the waiter told me that the woman at the next table paid for my sake. I felt so humble that night and it always will make me humble when I think of that night. BTW, I am a guy. I get quite a compliments on my butt. Every time I get new pants and people say your booty looks really good in those. A lot. Had a gay dude in Asheville stop me in my tracks to gawk and ask about my peacoat. I've had women compliment my beard too many times to count. Lots of compliments on outfits. I've had a woman straight tell me she's walking to the bathroom and she'll meet me in the third stall. Randomly? Never has happened. After making the initial contact and buying the first drink, it's happened a few times. I see it as a means of keeping the interaction going. Now it's my girlfriend who randomly buys me shots. Still flattering and nice when it happens. Woman I went on a date with last week told me she thinks I'm handsomer than Bradley Cooper. And she was serious. I couldn't believe it. Hands down best compliment I've ever received.